Okay, I'll call the meeting of the Terrebonne Parish Council Wednesday, October 27th to order. And Ms. Domingue, could you lead us in an invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Roll call.
Mr. Dirk Guidry, Mr. Trosclair, Mr. Navy, Mr. Harding, Mr. Michel, Mr. Amade,
Here.
Mrs. Domingue, Mr. Darren Guidry,
Here.
Mr. Babin. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you. Distribute minutes of the regular council session held on October 13th, 2021, which we've done. Approve minutes of the emergency council session held on September 29th, 2021. Moved by Mr. Danny Babin, seconded by Mr. Carl Harding. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Approve accounts payable bill list for October 18th, 2021 and October 25th, 2021. Move Mr. Dirk Guidry, seconded by Mr. Danny Babin. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Approve manual checklist for September 2021. Moved by Mr. John Amity, seconded by Mr. Danny Babin. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. General business, proclamation proclaiming November 2021 as National Epilepsy Awareness Month in the Houma Terrebonne community. Mr. Steve Trosclair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It gives me a pleasure to read this proclamation. And it states National Epilepsy Awareness Month, whereas epilepsy is a neurological condition that from time to time produces brief disturbances in the normal electrical functions of the brain and is characterized by recurrent, unprovoked seizures. And whereas it is estimated that 200,000 new cases of epilepsy are diagnosed each year in this country, primarily among young people. And whereas it is estimated that the number of epilepsy cases among the elderly are increasing each year. And whereas a person with epilepsy has the same basic human right to be accepted in society without discrimination due to negative stigmas regarding epilepsy. And whereas medical advances have been made which assist many persons with epilepsy in achieving seizure control and normal function. And whereas the Epilepsy Foundation is promoting greater awareness of first aid responses to seizures caused by epilepsy through its Stay Safe Side campaign and encouraging the public to become educated regarding appropriate measures to care for someone having a seizure. And therefore be resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Council on behalf of Parish President Gordon E. Dove and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government that the month of November 21st be hereby declared and proclaimed National Epilepsy Awareness Month in the Houma Terrebonne community, and request that all citizens remain aware of this disease so that people with epilepsy can also enjoy the same quality of life. Presented this 27th day of October 2021, and it's signed by our Parish President, Gordon E. Dove, and our Council Chairman, Darren Guidry, and endorsed by the whole entire Council. Thank you. Is there anyone here from the Epilepsy Foundation? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. We'll see that that is presented to them. Moving along, item B, discussion and update of the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness relative to COVID-19 and any other pertinent public information, i.e. hurricane item. Mr. Earl Hughes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Earl Hughes, Director, Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. I'm going to go ahead and give you a COVID update, and then I'll give you a Hurricane Ida update, and then I'll ask if it's okay if we get Chris Pulaski up here to talk about the housing issues. There was a request for Apton to be at the meeting tonight, but due to the weather, they asked if they could be excused. So we'll have to get them back at the next council meeting, but I think Chris will be able to answer most of your questions regarding those housing. And on COVID, number of cases to date, we have 19,356. Over the last 2 weeks, we had about 130 cases. If y'all remember, right before the storm, we averaged about 255 cases a day. We're down to 14 cases per day now, number of cases. Excuse me. Number of deaths, we're at 290. There were 10 deaths last 2 weeks, averaging about one per day. Number of tests, we had 197,658. We did 4,350 tests this past 2 weeks, averaging about 483 per day. So they are still doing quite a bit of testing throughout the parish. Hospitalizations, we had 11 hospitalizations over the last 2 weeks. So we're averaging about 1.3 per day. Today we had one, yesterday we had two. So the hospitalization rates are going down. Speaking with the hospital, they're able to treat these people outside of the hospital if they are positive, so which is good for us. The percent positivity as of today was 2.8%. If you remember before the storm, it was over 19%. Last week, the percent positivity was 2.7%, so we went up a 0.1% on positivity. Vaccinations, we're at 49,702 within the parish that have completed their vaccinations. That's an increase of about 672 people over the last 2 weeks. Those that have initiated at least one shot, we're at 43,524. That was an increase of about 1,088 over the last 2 weeks. So more people are getting vaccinations. Most of you have heard that the FDA has approved vaccinations for children. So we may see some of these numbers increase over the next few weeks due to the fact that some residents maybe want to get their children vaccinated for COVID. Our percent of vaccinations in the parish is still pretty low. It's 38.48%. But the Louisiana Department of Health is trying to get those numbers increased. All right. Any questions on COVID?
Mr. Trosclair.
Yes, with you. When you're saying that we had 38%, is that 38% of adults or 38% of population?
That's 38% of our population.
So that's not the true 50%.
Right. I mean,
People eligible for it.
that's correct. Because you got some children that's in that number also.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you.
So and hopefully it'll increase. It has been increasing, but not by a lot. So okay. Any other questions on COVID? Yes, sir.
At 38%, we the lowest in the country or what?
I'm not sure. I didn't check that, but we are pretty low in our region. So.
Shame, people need to get out there and get vaccinated.
And LDH is doing a good job. In fact, they're out there, now doing vaccinations down at the base camps that we have set up in the shelters and everything. So they are trying to get more and more people vaccinated. So not only are they doing COVID, but they're also doing flu shots and tetanus shots also down on the lower end of the parish.
Mr. Amity.
Mr. Hughes, we're starting to see Delta Plus now. I saw a report that it was found in Massachusetts now. You got any early idea what that's going to do?
No, I don't. But based on listening to Dr. Canner, who gave a presentation with the governor yesterday, it doesn't look like it's going to cause another wave at this time. But just like with all these other variants, we won't know till it really gets down here. So
Hopefully they're right. That would be good news. Thank you.
You're correct. Okay.
Move along.
All right. Hurricane Ida report. At the American Red Cross shelter on Equity Boulevard, we have 40 residents in there. The Red Cross is set to close that shelter on November the 5th. They are currently working on getting temporary housing for all of those occupants. And so before they close the shelter, they'll make sure that they have occupancy for those residents that are there. Our base camp totals, we have 196 residents at 4 different base camps. There's 87 on Scott Lane, which is behind Bayou Towers. We have 49 in Montague, 46 residents in Chauvin, and 14 residents in Dulac. So we have plenty of room in the base camps. If you're looking for a place to shelter, please utilize those base camps. And we're going to add another additional 100 at the Scott Lane facility for most of the Bayou Towers people. I already mentioned that LDH is giving their shots. Debris pickup, we have 1.6 million cubic yards picked up already. And if I'm I think they finished their first pass and they're working on their second passes. FEMA has registered 41,590 households within Terrebonne Parish for disaster assistance. They had 36 yesterday. The good news is they have extended the deadline to register to November 28th. So it was supposed to stop tomorrow, but they have extended it another month till November 28th. So if you would like to register for individual assistance through FEMA, you now have till November 28th. The Disaster Recovery Center, which is in the Civic Center, has they saw 205 residents yesterday. They're up to 4,435 residents that they have serviced at the Civic Center. We are still trying to get another DRC opened up at the Woodmen of the World facility down in Montague. The Woodmen of the World national office, I'm not sure where it's located, but they're kind of holding up the legalese on using that building. So we're working diligently to try to open that up. We're seeing over 200 people a day over here at the Civic Center. So I know if we open that facility up, we're going to see a lot more people over there. So I'm working desperately to get that open down in Montague. I figure at that location we can service at least 4 different communities, which include Berg, Montague, Chauvin, and Pointe-aux-Chenes. So I think it'll be a great location. We just got to get the lawyers have got to tweak their agreement on that facility. Blue roofs, 2,463 people qualified and registered for blue roofs. The Corps has completed 2,425 of those that have registered, which leaves a little less than 40 people left that needs a blue roof. The SBA, Small Business Association, came and gave you guys, administration gave you guys a presentation at the last meeting. They have 1,647 applications that were approved for $101 million. That's residential applications. There were 46 business applications approved so far for $2.2 million. And there's 10 businesses that approved for economic loss loan through SBA for $269,000. Total for SBA is $103,528,000 for residents and businesses in Terrebonne Parish. The file for Small Business Administration assistance has also been extended to November 28th also. Any questions on that?
Ms. Domingue.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. Regarding trash pickup, I've had some phone calls from people who have not even come back home yet to start mitigating their homes or start cleaning up. When's the deadline for FEMA to be picking up that debris on the roadside?
Okay, so the parish is going to do 3 passes on each street. I do not know when they will begin that 3rd pass, but I think they only started the 2nd pass. So I would assume, within the next couple of weeks, they will be finalizing that 3rd pass for debris pickup. I don't know the exact date. I can get that for you. I'd have to contact Clay Knockin for that information.
Okay, that would be wonderful. That way we can let people know that, hey, in order to, have your debris picked up without a charge to you, that this would be your last day, and that way at least people can kind of get to work. So thank you.
And we'll post that on Facebook, web pages, and everything.
Absolutely.
So people
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah. Earl, along the lines of the 3 pass, okay? We're going to have more trash on the streets starting now than we probably had from the beginning, but and maybe that may be a stretch. But what I mean by that is people are going to start tearing down things now. Some of them are just coming back. And we talked about this once before. After that 3rd pass, evidently there is a plan. I mean, I don't think that Clay has and he does a fabulous job. I just don't think he has the equipment and the manpower to do the entire parish if we in fact keep putting out that much debris. Is that a fair enough?
Yes, sir. And I don't have an answer for you, but I do know that we have been in conversation with FEMA and to discuss demolition debris, which I think we're going to have a lot of. So we are in conversation with FEMA on getting reimbursed and how that reimbursement will take place.
We talked about that, and this is a subject for another day. But if we can't get all of these places torn down, it creates a problem for us a year, 2 years down the line with derelict houses and condemnation, and then it falls on the parish. And we don't have the money in this parish to tear down 10,000 homes. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Sure, we put a lien against it, and we tear it down. We still have to outlay the money. Then we got to keep the grass up. So, to me, that's a long-term thing that we need to definitely take a look at it. And Dirk and I actually spoken to Steve Scalise about that a while back. And I know it's been a conversation with a lot of people, but we need to keep it on the burner because it could create a problem for this parish down the line.
Yes, sir. And we're also in conversation with FEMA on derelict vessel removal and debris in the bayous.
Good.
So we have been working with that, also trying to get a solution to those issues.
But I just believe that the amount of debris is not going to slow down. If anything, it may increase.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Babin, when I spoke to Mr. Knockan with solid waste, he estimated it would be perhaps well over a year that they will be here collecting that. So if that's the case, that should give people plenty of time, hopefully, to take care of their demolition. Mr. Harding.
This has been a concern even last council meeting, and I think it's going to be something similar to what I have suggested before. I know originally the contract was supposed to be up until November for this, so there's going to be some more negotiation because here, so that's more there. And that was part of my concern that because we're going to be actually still recovering and the circumstances that we'll be covering up, this is going to still be under the same declaration because we're going to be discussing something or something that's coming up later on, where there's a 5-day notice in reference to who's going to be paying for this. And I think that has to go along together because there may be some costs incurred through the circumstances of the emergency declaration that we may pass that buck on to the people that's there, and we can actually cover our funds through FEMA, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir. So the emergency declaration will be in effect for quite a long time, and from FEMA, and then the state and the parish will keep their emergency declarations active until we're sufficiently to where we're at a point that we think we have done enough recovery, okay, and or debris removal. Based on experience with Hurricane Laura and the people that my counterpart in Lake Charles, they were there over a year picking up debris. So it's going to take a little while to get all the debris together. And unfortunately, when we have days like today where we have additional wind, so we're going to collect some more debris. So, we're going to do everything we can in the best interest of the parish to get reimbursed by FEMA on as much of this as possible.
Yeah, and I didn't want any, I was considering the people that, may get the evictions and things like that, and and we're going to be discussing that later on. But on another note, now I get several phone calls, and everybody say everybody doing a good job. You want to hear about the good, but you want to hear about the bad too. And the circumstances where people don't even understand. Number one, parish contract and the contract with the state, but the routing system. You can go through a particular zone, a particular neighborhood or whatever, and the complaints that I'm getting that you picked it up here and 3 streets down, you didn't pick it up over there, and then it's sometime that they come back to that particular area. And the assumption, I don't know every address and I don't know what every pile is up there. So it's not like garbage collection, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, then they start right over again. And if you could actually, through the process that we have here, to relay how that's done to some of the people that are out there that need to hear that we are working on it. We have a year that we're going to do this, but then trash is trash, and people are concerned. So to look at the people, listen to the complaints, hopefully we can actually kind of see our way through. Thanks.
I know this isn't a solution to your issue, but I had a meeting today with all the other regional the directors in our region today. They're having the same issues with other debris contractors also. So it's not just for our parish, but they don't understand why they went down this road and not this road. And then they're going down the street and picking up a little bit from this pile and leaving the rest of the pile. So I do have a note to talk to Clay on that and see if maybe we can get some explanation on that, how that's happening. So that is my plan, even after hearing what the other directors in the other parishes were experiencing. I'm going to get with Mr. Naki and see how do they decide what streets to go down and what area to pick up and why they only picking up partial piles, basically. Because that's the complaints y'all are hearing. And when they picked up 2 logs and left the rest. So I'm going to try to get y'all an answer for that.
Yeah, I would greatly appreciate it. You know what I mean? For me to tell someone something and that for me to feel comfortable telling them what we doing up here. And regardless of what the contract is, I'm looking for the people. They need the trash removed. There's a contract to do a job. And that's what the expectation of this Terrebonne Parish is expecting of those people to provide for those residents. Point blank.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Domingue.
I have one answer for you, Mr. Harding, and this is something I learned during the process. If there are any cars parked on the street, those debris pit trucks will not even go down the street. So if you have like a neighborhood where a lot of cars are parked on the street, possibly go ask them to not move, to not park, because those debris trucks will not even stop if there's cars on the street. I don't know if it's for liability, but they won't stop. So thank you.
Yeah, I've also seen where people have stockpiled their debris underneath the tree limbs and the knuckle boom can't get to it. So they'll pick up what they can and hopefully the residents will push it closer to the road so that they can pick it up on the second run or the third run.
And my only request, the state has created a phone line and I believe either an email or a form that people can fill out that they can report if they have debris on a state highway that they pick up. I know that was put together. Some of the reps were probably getting those calls themselves. If we had something like that to where somebody can report their address, they want to just know that somebody knows they didn't forget about them. So even if it's just an email where a site where they can go and fill it out and they can say like when I put it by the road, what the debris is made of, and my address, I think that would probably help us in communicating better and help the people communicate directly. That would be my suggestion if we had some type of site, and there are some people who have gotten forgotten, especially, I had a resident just today who lived on a corner and his address is technically on St. Charles. Okay. So they didn't pick him up when they were picking up the other street, but yet when they were on St. Charles, his debris was on the other street, so they didn't pick him up.
Right.
So that was one of those instances where in this case, they can report that, and supervisors can then double check to make sure they get it picked up. That's my suggestion.
I'll talk to Clay and see what we can do with that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the hurricane debris? If not, I'd like to get Chris Pulaski up here to give you all a rundown on the housing issues within the parish. Chris? Thank y'all.
Good evening, Chris Pulaski, Director of Planning and Zoning at Terrebonne Parish. So over the last couple of days, I've sent out some information. It's like you were talking before, questions that we're getting in our office. So if we're getting them, I know y'all are getting them too. And then questions you've asked me. So I try to put as much information as I can into those. Of course, I send them to you guys, but to staff, to all the people in the government tower that I know are working the phone lines, so that we can try and get the correct information out. As I've heard often, the wrong information is worse than none at all. So we want to make sure we get the right information out there. So just to jump into the numbers, right now we have submitted to the state, to Aptum, the state's contractor, 319 essential worker first responders. The first batch of general population was 159. And then the remaining general population list that we submitted is 2,489. So all in, that's 2,967. So let's just say 3,000. So you recall earlier on, our numbers were pushing 5,000, but we said it would come down a little bit after we scrub out the duplicates and things like that, which we've done. We're also getting a number of people who, for one reason or another, don't need temporary housing anymore. So, with regards to that, so withdrawn their names, 73 people so far. There's 2,710 people that we're still waiting hear back from Aptum and see where they're at. Are they still in need, or have their circumstances changed? 57 people have completed the registration through Aptum's process. 71 have been reviewed and are ready to go on to the next step. 31 sites are pending site inspections, and these are as of this morning. 17 are pending delivery, and then so far 8 have been sheltered. So 2,967 households who identified that they were in need of temporary housing, and we have 8. We have 8. Group sites, we're still waiting. Waiting on FEMA to tell us the group sites that they've selected and the state. We continue to get contacted by boots on the ground folks for both entities. And they're going around all over the parish looking for sites, and they have their prom sites, and as soon as they get those identified, then we'll be able to get a large number of trailers deployed for all the folks who are renters and so forth. The permit office, we've been in contact with the state, with Aptum's permit folks. We're working to have the same conversations with FEMA's permit folks so that once they're ready to do these large group sites, it can happen quick, fast, and in a hurry. We're going to do them in batches of 10, 20, 30, however many they want to put in on a day. And then individual sites, the biggest thing we're trying to do right now is just quell any misinformation or rumors about, we get information about people being told that they have to install a temp pole, regardless of whether their meter on their home is intact or not, that they have to go put in a temp pole. And they call to check that, that's wrong. That's incorrect. FEMA will pay for the temp pole. They have contractors to do that. They have licensed electricians to do that, and so does the state. But we've had some instances where people have taken what that person told them, and they went and installed a temp pole and paid the electrician for it. And so we've been in contact with folks high up on the FEMA food chain to hopefully let them educate their people in the call centers and stuff that are talking to our folks. Just for information purposes, the number, if you have questions about your application, so you're a resident, you've submitted to, whether you submitted to the parish, to the council, to the state, you want an update on where your particular application is at, the number to call is that same 844-268-0301. That's the same number you would call to register. 844-268-0301. Now that number would be the same number if you are a property owner and you wish to offer your property for use as a group site or individual sites, or however you want to do it. Same number, 844-268-0301. Now, if you are a property owner or that would like to submit your property for consideration, or you are a resident and you want to check on your status with FEMA, their number is 1-800-621-3362. 1-800-621-3362. So all that information are in the email.
Hold on a second, Mr. Babin.
Mr. Dove, I don't know if you got this. I just got a text from somebody saying that the tent in Klondike flipped over. There's emergency vehicles there and ambulances on the scene. And at the Klondike, Earl's going to check on it right now. The tents have flipped over due to the bad weather. Klondike, Earl.
Go ahead, Chris.
Whether you're a contract.
Chris, hold on.
Oh, you have,
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just got Ben Walker, my assistant director. They had one tent that flipped over. They had one minor injury. He didn't tell me what it was. The vendor is there trying to remedy the situation. So, and so we're working on that right now.
Great. That's
Earl, it wasn't the main tent that was in. It was one of the smaller
I
tents.
think that's what they said. So they just said it was one tent, one injury. So I don't think it was the main tent. So good. Okay.
Thank you, Earl.
Yeah, that site has a pretty sturdy metal pavilion, and the main tents are tucked under there. So, but yeah, so the same goes if you're a vendor. If you have a travel trailer hauling company or anything like that, you want to offer your services to do that. Those phone numbers would be the same. So, state is the 844-268-0301. and FEMA's 800-621-3362. As Earl mentioned, Aptum was planning on being here tonight, but because of the weather, they weren't able to have somebody here.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah. And see, I have a problem with that, okay? Because the people that need the trailer were in this weather as well, okay? And look, this is not killing the messenger by any stretch of the imagination. I feel like your department is doing a yeoman's job on it. I just don't understand how it's going to be 3 weeks this weekend, and we still got 100 trailers sitting at the Civic Center. Why is the process taking so long from the state and from FEMA? That's the questions that we all as council people are getting asked every day. And when we say we don't want to give out misinformation, we don't. But we just don't know, and I'm not sure if they know. But 3 weeks with only, how many trailers you said? Eight. I mean, that's unconscionable, okay?
I know from talking with Aptum over the past couple of days, and I wish they were here to explain that, but one problem that they are having is whenever they are making calls out to residents to follow up on information, they're having to call 2 or 3 times and they're not getting responses back. Now, I don't know if that's because maybe they have a area code, it's a 225 or some other area code that people aren't used to and people just don't answer their phone. Maybe that person doesn't have voicemail set up. I mean, I know when we were calling, checking up on information, we ran into some of that too, so I can understand. And we've offered to assist Aptum with that. So I know even on some of our essential workers and first responder lists, there were some of those folks that they haven't been able to get in contact with. So okay, well, send us those lists. We'll get people to make the calls, and maybe we'll have better luck at it. But
And again, it's just hard to believe. It's hard to see every day when you pass by there and see them all still sitting there and know it's out of our control. And that's what's sad, that we have to rely on someone who doesn't even know Terrebonne Parish to get things out in Terrebonne Parish. I wish the system, I don't have an answer to make it any better. And again, I'm not criticizing this government at all. I'm just saying something is wrong here. There's a disconnect somewhere where it takes that long to get trailers out to people who need it. Again, I'll say it again. They're not here tonight because they were worried about the weather, but yet those people are in this weather tonight, and where they could be in a trailer, So, again, the frustration is starting to come out from the constituents in the parish, the people of Terrebonne Parish, which filters through us naturally. Mm-hmm. So we talked earlier about disseminating information to us. Look, Facebook is a wonderful thing, okay? But some of us don't look at it all day long. So all I'm asking is, whatever information sometimes that we put out on Facebook as a government, please put it out to an email to all of us or a text to all of us, because I'm going to hear my phone beep for that before I'm going to hear it beep for Facebook.
Sure.
And all of them, it needs to go on all levels of it, don't get me wrong, but from my standpoint, I'll listen to an email beep or a text beep quicker than a Facebook. Thank you, Chris.
Mrs. Trosclair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chris, question. Do you have any idea, and this is a question for Apton when I heard you were coming here tonight. Do you have any idea when Apton actually signed a contract with the state to do this?
No, I don't.
Because here's where I'm going with this. You know, 5-6 weeks ago, we had our meeting at the EOC when it was stated that we should start taking names for these campers. So I'm sure at that point the state already had the program going. I would assume that after had a contract or they were finalizing the contract, but after that point, that they already started the program. My disconnect with the whole thing is we immediately started sending names in. So the vetting process should have started at that time. Even though this was 3 weeks before the first trailers they got to home. So when the first trailers got here, they could have started putting them on the road. They didn't have to start vetting and finding people then. That's the problem I have with Apton or the structure, the way it's set up. I mean, there's no reason that they had to wait till the trailers actually hit home before they start calling people to vet them. You know, because, you know, look, I was one of the first ones that I was criticized for starting taking names. You know, but I did it. Y'all asked us to do it at that meeting, and I did it. But the purpose of that, when y'all asked us to do it, was to speed the process up. It don't appear, but now, that being said, now we're the first point of contact because we're the first ones that contacted you, or they contacted us. They spoke to us. They didn't speak to Apton, they didn't speak to GOSEP, or they didn't speak to anybody else. They spoke to us because thought we were doing the right thing by trying to speed the process. But everything else, since the storm, was dragging behind so much that nothing was moving, nothing was happening. So I was willing to take the beating of people calling me. My phone blew up when we first put it out there. My phone went totally crazy. I took every call. I didn't turn anything down. I returned every call to people I messaged. And I took their names and I turned it in. But that don't seem like it did any bit of good because if we got 150 or 100, how many campers do we have in the parking lot?
I don't know the exact number, but the skate park side, when I saw it full, I think it was about 199. And now I understand that they have some on the courier side now
Yeah,
too.
well, I heard around 200, maybe more than that.
I think it's
And we
probably
got
about
8
that.
campers parked out in people's yards. I mean, that's unacceptable. I don't care how we slice it or dice it. It's unacceptable. Whether it's the state or the parish not pushing the state, which I know for a fact that we push from my side, we push it as hard as we could push, but we basically just messing with it. We think it's okay. But I'm just frustrated that, you know, I took all these phone calls. I went all, and all of us did, all 9 of them. And I'm sure y'all took some calls too. I mean, everybody would get calls.
Yeah.
But it's for nothing, you know, because nothing moved forward. With all the misery and all the inconvenience that we went through, thinking we were doing something right, nothing moved forward. Now, is it Apton? Is it GOSEP? Whoever it is, I mean, I'd like somebody to be held accountable. I mean, it's crazy. Thank you.
Chris, we had our meeting in September, and we were talking about housing. And we said that the first FEMA trailers from FEMA would not be here till November. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so we had this program where the state was going to provide these travel trailers for the interim before FEMA came in. Well, you know what? We're bumping into FEMA. FEMA's contacting people and preparing to send out travel trailers and mobile homes, and we only got 8 in our program, and we're approaching November. If this state program was supposed to be better than FEMA, it definitely is not. You know, and I even went one step farther than Mr. Trosclair. Not only did I get the information from my people, but I had them verify their ownership of their houses, so that way it would be simple. All they'd have to do, they know look, I even got letters from the people who got evicted from their apartments. Every single one that called, I got a letter. So they didn't even have to vet them. All they had to do was go out there and look at their location. I even wrote the location where they wanted to put the mobile home or where they could put the mobile home. If they lived in an apartment, they would say, okay, my mom says I can put it in her driveway. But that did no good. You know, we did everything we could, I believe, as a council, as a parish. So, and it was kind of taken away from us because originally we were supposed to be the lead on this, as I appreciated. And then somewhere in the middle of it, I don't know if it's because of who gets the credit or what, it seems like the state said, oh no, I'm going to pull it back and I'm going to handle it. And that is when things in my opinion, started to break down. I don't know what the solution is, but Aptem's not doing it. Hell, they can't even show up to a meeting, you know, if it rains a little bit. So, you know, I have no faith in that program whatsoever. And again, it's not at you, Chris. I know the parish and you guys have been doing an awesome job. So I've said my spiel. Oh, I'm sorry. Who is that first? Dirk, why don't you go?
Chris, you know, thank you for what you're doing, man. I know it's a lot of stress, a lot of different things going on. It's not a little bitty animal to tackle. It's a big animal for housing, especially when, you know, you're talking about people's lives. And I'm going to have to agree with everybody up here. The camper deal is very slow. We need to get some of these. I mean, this weekend, we still got, and I know we have some shelters for people to live in, but a lot of these people are still living in their tents and in their cars because they don't want to leave their properties, you know, being afraid that somebody's going to go in there and steal them, you know. I just wish y'all could get on Aptem or the state or whatever and try to speed this process up because I don't know about my fellow councilmen, but I live down the Bayou, and that's where a lot of people are hurt down there. So it doesn't matter if I go to the grocery store, I work at my pizza place. Monday morning, I went to the doctor's office in Chauvin. The nurses came, heard everybody bitching me out, and came to ask me if I wanted to go sit in the back until my appointment was ready. But I said, no, I'm a big boy, I can handle it. But this is the kind of stuff that us councilmen, especially, you know, and I'm not taking it away from the city that y'all don't need them. But let me tell you, between me, Mr. Babbitt, and Mr. Trosclair, we've probably got the most wanted amounts of campers. And it doesn't matter where I go or what I do. I try to stay home. I don't want to go nowhere because that's going to be the first question coming out of people's mouth. What's the deal with the FEMA campers? Or what's the deal with GOSEP campers? And my answer is, to tell you the truth, guys, I can't tell you because I don't know. And that's my answer I could give you, you know. And getting back to where you said, you know, where they were trying to get in touch with people, well, guess what? I still have no television. I still have no Wi-Fi. I still have no nothing. Where I live at, we have absolutely nothing. For the last couple of days, I could throw my phone in the garbage can. There was nothing. You know, so these people, they might be trying to get in touch with them, but they can't get because we got no service. You know, I mean, look, it's 2 months since I watched the television set.
And we asked, our response when they told us that was, well, do you have boots on the ground? Do you have people going door to door? No, that's their next step.
Yeah, because I've never even received the email. It's 2 months I have not received the email from Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government. If there's something important that I need to find out, I ask one of my fellow councilmen about it because I get no emails, none. So, I mean, and I can understand, like I said, why people might not be responding back to this because there's no communication still, you know. So, but, you know, well, I'm not here to dog you out. I know you got a lot under your belt. Man, try to help my people out. Hey, let me tell you, they suffer. And when you know, especially when we got to sit here and we got to hear this from all these people, you know, that stories. Because every time they come, they got a story. It's not just where my FEMA camp is at. They got to go through the whole thing of how my house is tore down, where I'm living. There's the whole 9 yards, you know. I got one lady called me from Steve's district last week to see about the FEMA campus or the whatever campus. Told me got 28 people living in the house. You know, so I mean, this is the kind of people that we need to get into some kind of temporary housing. So, but Chris, whatever you're doing, thank you, man. And if y'all want to get in touch with me, please give me a call because, like I said, I have not received any emails from Terrebonne Parish government since the hurricane. Thank you.
Ms. Domingue.
I'm going to try not to shoot the messenger, Chris, and we all appreciate you being up here, but I know you take a beating every week, it seems like, when you come up here. But a few questions, I feel like we're all but a bit frustrated because we're all taking these phone calls, hundreds and hundreds of phone calls a week, and it is frustrating. So as far as Aptum, who's held accountable for Aptum?
Well, their contract is with the state. I mean, they have a CEO and, project managers,
So
like
who
any
did-
other corporation.
So who do they report to for the state? Maybe that's
GOSEP.
So that we need to report. We need to tell GOSEP what's happening.
They're fully aware.
They're fully aware. And what's what's their answer?
Well, I'll let Mr. Dove field that one because I know he's had several conversations with high levels in both Aptum and GOSEP.
Okay. One more question regarding the base camps. I get this call a lot from people. Is their pets? Can they bring their pets to base camps?
Well, the answer is yes. I mean, we would encourage those folks if they're able to care for their pets remotely. Like if they live close enough to the base camp, they can run home. That would be great. But if they can't, that's okay because Valerie and the folks at the animal shelter and through some generous donors, they've been providing the base camps with supplies. They have crates for cats, kennels for dogs. They've set up dog runs and things like that. I think some of the vendors have maybe put together some makeshift dog parks. And I know their plan, at least at group sites, once those get up and running, is they're going to look to do some of those at those locations as well.
Wonderful. I think those group sites are fantastic, Chris, and I don't know what we could do to make some more, especially like the one at Scott Lane. That is a fantastic facility, but to bring some more of those into the parish, since it seems like these campers just aren't coming, that might be a really beneficial thing. And when I spoke to the head of whoever was putting that on, he said FEMA just pays for them. They just come in. So I don't know if we could possibly get some more of those types of facilities, because those facilities are really wonderful, and it gives somebody a place to live. And if you have a family, then you have a private place to live as well.
Yeah.
So I just think that having more of that would be at least the stopgap for while we're waiting for these campers that seem like they're never coming. I don't know if that would be something that we could work on.
Well, I know the expansion of the site at Scott Lane has more of those modular buildings, and we've requested they be modified a little bit. So instead of having bunk beds, they have double beds. And I believe Williams Avenue, of course, is a new location with, I think, 50 capacity right now, and we requested the same of that.
Because I know we're having a hard time with people, especially in like Mr. Danny's district, who want to go to that facility, but if they had something else like the Scott Lane facility, they may be more willing to go because it seems a lot more homey.
Yeah.
And it seems like somewhere that they could be a lot more comfortable, at least while they're waiting.
And I think from what I've learned, I think the FEMA housing units, their program, the type of housing is a little more varied than the state. So the state seems to focus on travel trailers, whereas FEMA, they look at travel trailers too, but they're also looking at mobile homes, they're looking at modular homes, and they're looking at those little park model homes, tiny houses that a lot of people call them.
Yeah, I just think the longer that goes by, we're feeling very disheartened, and we feel like we can't give answers to anybody. And the longer it goes, we really kind of look at it and think, okay, no wonder, Lake Charles is still in the situation they are a year and a half later, because things go so slow. And it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be. We should have a better process. But that's beyond your pay grade, Chris, and I definitely appreciate that. So thank you.
Mr. Dove.
So, Dirk, one quick question.
Okay, Carly.
Carly?
Yeah, I hope me and Drake be passing the baton to parish president after in all due respect to him. And I'm glad to be in the position to speak for him also, so he can wrap it up for us. We all up here know about the phone calls and the text messages and how we're doing things and how sometimes it don't always go as we plan. I'm pretty sure everybody have run into circumstances like that in their lives. But I want the parish, the people within the parish, to know that all of my colleagues, parish president, Chris, everybody that's involved with this, we have the best that we perhaps can offer, whether we have handcuffs, whether our hands are tied behind our backs or whatever. I think we all overall have the best interest. With the circumstances changing as frequently as they do, and the big picture being looked at, it seems as if that we all need to get behind the same wagon and push it on down the road and get to the right point. Collectively, I think we're going to have a number of scenarios that are changing as we go on, as people, when they reported people that needed trailers and people that didn't need trailers, how they got filtered out. Some people need housing. I have people, even though I'm a city guy, I have people that's displaced also that I have to consider, not overlooking the bayous or anything like that. You know, I mean, there are circumstances. It's Terrebonne Parish is well represented by we that are here. We just have different circumstances that we have to deal with. So, as a whole, I really want to say, yes, the messenger is not the problem. I think we need to address, figure out amongst ourselves. And I hate to use this word, but where I will attack in the defense of the people of Terrebonne Parish have to be. We have to come together and to see what we have to do what's best for us and approach that in a unified effort where we can actually get something done. I called Dirk one morning and tried to give a guy 55 gallons of gasoline because I saw something. We all have to collectively come together and see what we can do to help our people in different districts. Mr. Guidry, even the people in your district, you know, I mean, there are needs. Ms. Domingue just mentioned the facility that's open up and may open up or want to open up on William Street. And at that point, let me say this, Scotland have people from everywhere, all different colors, single, old age, walkers, this, that, that. We have to realize we're providing a service. Now, I hope I didn't hear people waiting for a choice to go somewhere. I hope I didn't hear that. Because we're providing a service for everyone in Terrebonne Parish. Now, that facility, Scott Lane, has 24-hour security. So if it's felt that way within Terrebonne Parish, when we have pickers and choosers, when the rich man and the poor man can be together because we all are affected by Hurricane Ida. So I don't want circumstances to be looked at that way because I would be rather reluctant in my own heart to feel that when I do my best to represent all of Terrebonne Parish. So, you know what I mean, let's get together, push the same wagon down the road, figure out what our destination is going to be. And that's what we need to be doing. No pickers and choosers right now. Thank you.
Mr. Babbitt. You want to go first, Dirk? Or?
Yeah, question for you, Chris. A lot of people that been telling me that FEMA's be coming to their house and measuring stuff and whatever. They telling some of these people that they can't have a camper here or whatever because of base flood elevation. So, can you or can't you? We need to clarify that.
That is wrong.
Because I thought we had.
I've filled out 3 forms, turned them into FEMA. I've been contacted by FEMA, the state. We now have a FEMA representative embedded in our office twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Earl and I have fired that back up the chain of command at FEMA and said, guys, you've got to tell your people to quit giving out this misinformation. That was the rule for a long time. And I think it's taking a while for that ship to turn on that one because it wasn't until Laura, I think, that they realized that we might have to make certain concessions. And one of the very first conference calls that we had about direct housing program, that was up on the slide. And I said, don't worry, we've already submitted the forms. We've already talked to them. We told them. Parish President Dove issued an executive order to adjust the zoning so travel trailers and RVs could be used in single-family residential zoning. And then we also said, yeah, you can place travel trailers, RVs, mobile homes in a special flood hazard area below the base flood elevation. And the only catch with it is if at the end of that program, if you're offered that mobile home to purchase or that modular, okay, fine, but before FEMA sells it to you, you're going to have to elevate it. And FEMA's totally on board with that, but somebody's not telling their people at the call centers and the people on the ground.
Right, and that's what I was getting to, Chris. I knew we had talked about
yeah.
that they were doing away with that, but I'm still hearing that from people that these inspectors are going to the house say you can't put it here because of a base flood elevation. So thank you for clearing that up for me.
And I've heard the same thing, Dirk, from two different people, and they just gave up on it. And so, if I hadn't seen them and heard them and had them say that, they would have just accepted that. So we need to get that message out.
Yeah, and
Thanks,
that was my next statement I wanted to make about base flood. I called you Monday. Remember, FEMA went out to one of my people on Coast Guard Road, told them what they had to do. They have a handicapped child. They did it all, even had to take the handicap ramp down. And then FEMA contacted them Saturday and said, you can't have it because you're in a flood zone. When after I spoke to you, you told me last Thursday y'all even worked that all out. Okay, so that's a misinformation that's out there, and it's difficult for us, all of us in government, to counter something like that because it's out of our control.
I had to take a FEMA fact sheet and email it yesterday to the
them.
people at FEMA.
That's sad. That's sad. Again, it's dysfunctional, all right? And that's why we still have 200 trailers sitting there almost 3 weeks. The only other thing, and I'm going to let Mr. Dove speak, I asked you a question, and I'd like for you to answer it here. In terms of renters, let's use a renter for an example, that maybe 3 of them need trailers, they qualify for it, and someone in their family has enough property that they could put more than one trailer on. What's the protocol for that, more than one trailer on one piece of property for different families?
Well, mobile home parks, we're not talking about that right now. So yes, you can place multiple housing units on property, whether it's a mobile home or a travel trailer. I think what you may run into at some point in terms of how many can we put on this property is the state and FEMA both have certain minimum standards spacing for these units. They have to have so many space between the units.
Right.
You're going to want to have at least 10 foot between these things. And then you got to have parking. Now, in a group site, chances are the parking is going to be 2 spots right in front of the unit. So you're going to have a gravel pad that the whole unit sits on, and then they'll have parking right in front of it. But so eventually you might run into that sort of, you're going to run out of room, and you're going to be limited to the number. I think it's more square footage and physical
I'm
than
not trying
anything else.
to create a trailer park. I'm just saying,
Right.
2 family members have 2 sons, each have their families displaced, but their parents have enough room to put 2 of them on their property. That's more along the line of what I'm speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Harding, you want to say something before we step?
And going back to the renters, and it's my understanding, and really, hopefully we can get this over to the people. And we got a certain amount of trailers. We got to understand what is the process. So that may not happen where 3 members of the same family will get one of these trailers because aren't we going to put this into the computer system? And the computer picks who get the trailers?
Well, we shuffled the names out, and then we sent our list to Aptum. So in terms of if they're going numerically down that list, that's already been done. But as I understand it too, they have a procedure part of their process is they reach out to those folks, and they're going to be asking certain questions. So they may, through their line of questioning, determine that this person is more eligible than this person, or more deserving than this person. Deserving, I guess, is the wrong word, but
Yeah.
everyone deserves it. You're out of your house, you're out of your house. But I think, we talked about it once before here. Somebody who might be living in a home with a family member or friend versus somebody in their car. That's a tough one.
Yeah, and before I turn, and one more question before I, finish up. That don't go too good with me. It really don't, because I like the process. The computer spitting them out. You went through the process. You collect those names and stuff like that. I've been living in Terrebonne Parish a long time, and that ain't gonna work. Somebody's gonna feel left out, and especially if you get 3 of them on the same lot, that not gonna add up with quite a few people. So, like the gentleman that called me just before I came here, there's a trailer, and he don't know. Bad information is worse than no information at all.
Yeah.
He want me to address the issue that his area that he's living on Columbus Street is not for trailers. I couldn't answer the question whether it was a trailer provided for by the state or if that was a personal trailer.
Well,
yeah, so those are circumstances that
I would say
I'm finished. Yeah.
one thing we should push for, more travel trailers. I know we had an allocation that they had thrown out early on of 1,500, but we could get more. And then, at the rate things are going, we might see people moving directly into FEMA's housing program and not necessarily needing to go into the states. So maybe 1,500 state travel trailers is enough. So that, 2,967 is a lot less than, what we were talking about initially, 5,000. So maybe
And
we can get there.
We've had a conversation. It's a combination of things between those camps, the facility like Scotland, the facility that should be opening up on Williams. We have to do those things and actually make progressions. Those people that are displaced may come into some of these facilities. Some have FEMA trailers, some have travel trailers. Hopefully that we can actually work all these things together and not just really focus on just one thing, because what we're actually trying to do is provide shelter and living for the citizens. And so therefore, it may be something a little further down the line. There's a lady that was interviewed this afternoon. She went through seven shelters before she got to Scotland. 7 shelters. But each time that she went, it was something better. So we had to take a person off a tent to put her into another facility, to get them into a trailer, to get them this way, and then we can see some progress. But we just focusing on one thing. The egg get busted by itself. You just got to bust the egg. Thank you.
Ms. Domain.
Yeah, Chris, last on. And kind of to piggyback off of what Mr. Harding said, this is a fluid situation. And it seems like things change with people every day. And as people are starting to get mitigators in their homes, and they're starting to see that now they can't live in their home, they may need to be added to the list. So what I'm going to ask you to do is reach for the stars, reach for the sky, and try to get every housing resource that we can at this point. If we can get 10 more Scott Lanes, then let's get them. If we, whatever, as many campers as we can get, just whatever it is that we can get so that we can house people, even if it's for 6-12 months, whatever that is going to be, because this is a fluid situation. I get calls all the time. The insurance adjuster just came out and said, I can't live in my home anymore. Or FEMA came out today and said they don't recommend I'm here because of the mold. So it is fluid, and they may not have been on our radar at the beginning, but they will be now. So whatever it is that we can do, reach for the stars and just apply for as many of those resources as possible. All right, thanks.
Mr. Duff.
Okay, so the public will understand what's going on here. We pushed to get trailers, travel trailers, because we knew FEMA was going to be a while. So the state went out for procurement to purchase them. They had 30 vendors, so they have ample trailers to deliver to us, so the trailers started getting delivered to us. Now, under federal procurement guidelines, they went to an engineering firm who is gonna oversee the whole thing. And Aptum was a successful bidder under the federal procurement guidelines. Terrebonne Parish had nothing to do with picking Aptum. If it was my decision, I would run Aptum off tomorrow. But it's not my decision. It's not our decision. And it's really not GOSEF's. I mean, they were picked by the procurement, and they're doing a terrible job. There's no doubt about it. This is ridiculous, the amount of trailers we have. And they're looking at Terrebonne, Lafourche, and St. Charles and Grand Isle as a regional area instead of each particular parish, and it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm the first one to say, I didn't choose them. I'd run them off tomorrow if I had that authority. But they would only make us go out for another procurement, which would take a long time, and we'd have to pick whoever well, we wouldn't pick it. It would be GOSEF. GOSEF is FEMA's local partner. We are not the local partner on this. So yeah, I know the council understands this. I want to make sure the public understands this is where we are at, and we've been in contact with Aptum, and it's totally ridiculous. They can't get in. With all the names they got, I believe they can get in touch with some of these people. I don't buy that. I really don't buy it. We've offered Chris's people. We've offered other people in the parish to go find these people. I can't believe they can't find but a handful of them. I'm not buying that. But I want the public to understand our hands are tied. We're doing everything possible. Chris, Earl are doing a wonderful job. A good example. The other day I get a call from Councilman Steve Trosclair. They quit serving food down Montague. Quit serving if you walked in, if you didn't live there. So me and Steve went down there, and of course Steve was lipped, so was I, saying, what are y'all doing not serving people in an emergency? And they up and they canceled giving food to the people of Montague, Portachow, or whoever shows up. And of course, between me and Steve, after Steve gave him a good piece of his mind, and we were on the phone with GOSEF, we had them reverse that decision. This is just years and years of old protocol that is ridiculous. How dare them not feed people, whether it's Montague, whether it's Homer, whether it's Chauvin, Dulac, wherever. And because we reversed an old policy that me and Councilman Steve Trosclair, and I appreciate him bringing it to our attention. And, this is what we're up to with it. Now, GOSEF does have someone new in there. Jim Wascom has done a good job. I think he's out for health reasons. And we're trying to work with these people, but it's unacceptable. We should have a lot. We've got campus sitting there. I agree with every councilman and woman up here. This is ridiculous. We're doing everything. Like I said, if it's my choice, Aptum would be gone, but we'd have to start from ground zero again. So we're trying to get them to move on it. Now, as far as Scott Lane goes, we are at the request of Representative Colley. We all put another 100 beds there. We're putting 50 more at Williams, request from Jessica and Colley, and I think Jessica also requested on Scott Lane. So these tents are going good, but let me give you a good example of what we got down Montague. Me and Steve was down there, it started raining. We had 4 inches of water in that tent. They built the tent, they put a plastic floor, and they didn't even turtle back a mound, and the water was coming in. And Steve could tell you. I mean, it's a joke, and it's not a joke because it's not funny, but I'm saying the way they operate is just unbelievable. I mean, me and Steve standing there, and we got water up to our ankles inside the tent because the water's coming in from underneath the tent. So I just want to let the public know, we are doing everything humanly possible, so is this council, and we are going to get it straight, and we're calling Aptum down to it, and they have to move. They have to find people because I don't buy it, and I'm as frustrated as everyone else, and we're doing everything humanly possible. We are adding these tents in there, but a lot of people don't want to stay in the tents because all they do is put up, in some of the tents, they put a divider curtain up, and most people don't want to live out. A lot of people don't want to live there. So we're doing everything possible, and we are gonna move, and we've got the travel trailers coming in. We got one portion of it. We just gotta get this Aptum group to understand this is not a regional, this is Terrebonne Parish, and they need to get, we've requested, not requested, demanded people come to Terrebonne and go get them, and we'll help them. So I just want to say that, and, I thank the councilmen and women for all their input, but they're 100% right. So to the public, we're doing everything possible, but we didn't hire this company, Aptum. It was done through federal procurement procedure by the state. I don't blame the state. They have to follow procurement, but the state is working with us to try to correct this through a GOSEP. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dove. Any more discussion before we move on? Mr.
One
Babbitt?
question. You mentioned about the food in the Montague area. So we can tell the people in our areas that they can go get food at these
And
man
if they
camps.
don't, call me.
Okay.
Or call Earl, but yes.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I
How
want
dare
to
they
make sure
turn
we
down
get,
anyone for
yeah,
food?
I want to make sure we get that out because there are people in all of the areas that need the food. There's
Well,
still people doing cooking, but that's a central spot that they can go to.
But the old policy, which we reversed, was if you don't stay in the tent, you don't get food. Well, this
Right.
is an emergency. What kind of policy is that?
So, because I will
But
get
that's
it
a
out
good
to the
question.
people in Dulac tomorrow to make sure that they understand that
And
they
then
can go there.
call myself or call Earl, and we will straighten it out if that comes about.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Trosclair?
Yeah, I just want to jump on something Danny bringing up. It's on. He's got a tent down in Dulard that they have caterers cooking. Dulac, I'm sorry. In Durst District on Up Lokai and on Klondike Road at the tent that has caterers cooking. And I have one in Montague that caterers cooking in that country on Star Lane. Why should a person have to drive from Dulac to Montague to get a lunch? Why can't he go to the tent in Dulac and get his lunch? Okay, yeah, I thought you was having them run to Montague. No.
I meant each one of the facilities.
In the prospective districts,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Wherever the location is.
Okay,
Okay, Mr. Harding. Third and final.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention, I failed to earlier, if you have questions about your state travel trailer, just like FEMA has folks set up at the DRC at the Civic Center, Aptum also, this week, they have people there daily from 9 to 6, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I asked what the schedule is looking like beyond this week, and they're just going to play it week by week. So for right now, I just know through the end of this week, I know we're already at Wednesday night, but through the end of this week, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Civic
Can
Center.
somebody go there and see if they're on the list?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's this week, but you don't know if they'll be there next week?
I'm going to
Okay.
have to speculate that they will be because they've got a lot of
If you
work
could
to
check
do.
with them since they weren't here.
I asked that this afternoon,
Okay.
and the response was week by week.
Okay.
So
All right.
Monday we'll know, I guess Sunday or Monday we'll know their schedule for next week.
Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Anything else, Earl? We're good?
But under the same agenda item, I'd ask that Malden to come explain about the utility bill so people can better.
Okay. And what Mr. Babin said is He had asked Ms. Malden to explain about the utility bills.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Babin. I also have here tonight Mr. Ed Lawson, who's our customer service manager. So if there's any questions that I can't answer, he will definitely be able to answer them for you. So just to let you know what happened for the City of Houma utilities, we had bills that went out that were paid before the storm hit in August. Those bills were for the meter readings that happened in July. We were not able to have meter readers come out again until at the end of September, early October. So the bills that are going out for these individuals, City of Houma customers right now, are going to be August and September. It has 70 days on there or more, the number of days from between the two meter reading, but that is not what we billed you for. We are billing for what was actually read in the meter. So for those 2 weeks or more that there was not electricity, there was no meter, there was no consumption, your bill does not include those days. So the best thing to do is if you can look at your prior bill that you paid in August, right before the storm, see that meter reading date, look at the one that you just got that seems to be a little high, and look and notice that it is for 2 months. And if you can compare the consumption, it's probably pretty reasonable compared to the prior months.
So there was indeed a physical reading done.
There was, yes, sir. We did not make any estimates. We did not just double any bills. We actually had meter readers come out. That was another reason why it took a while for us to be able to get the bills, was because our meter readers, we had to get them back into town. And some of them have lost their homes as well. So it was kind of hard to get those employees back or those contractors back. So it is actual meter reading. It's actual consumptions that was billed. It just took us a while to get it all back up and running.
And that explains it. People just need to look at their bill. It is a lot of days on there, but it was read, as Darren just said, it was read July, early August,
Right.
and then read again here, so it automatically adjusts itself for the amount of usage that they have.
Yes,
The
sir.
next question I have is, somebody got a bill that's normally $200 and now it's $400. Method of payment.
So they can make payments. They can make partial payments. The best thing to do would be to call a customer service department and set up something with them. We are not charging any late fees. We are not cutting anybody off, at least through the end of the year. If we see that we need to extend it, we'll extend it. So, they can make payments as they can make the payments, and know that we're not going to charge late fees and we're not going to cut anybody off.
And that's the things that the public needs to hear. So maybe if we can disseminate that through a press release or the newspaper, whatever. I'm not going to get into Earl's area of expertise, but again, it's very difficult to disseminate information in Terrebonne Parish.
Right.
Okay. But the key is that nobody's going to be shut off because they didn't pay a bill. They have the ability to extend their payments on it. They just need to contact the office.
Right. We need to have some kind of proof that they're trying to make a payment.
Right.
So that we can see some activity. So when we do have to make those decisions to start cutoffs and late fees, which is not happening anytime soon,
Right.
but when we do, we can go back and see, okay, who has paid something towards it? Who can we work with? Who can we not work with?
There will probably be some legitimate ones that need to be covered.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we don't want, because that happens throughout the 12 months out the year, whether you had a storm or you didn't.
Right.
But for the person that doesn't fit that category, we have steps to accommodate them. We're not going to put anybody out
Right.
in the cold, so to
Right.
speak.
And we understand that, the bill came in and it looks like it almost doubled.
Yeah.
But it's because it really is for 2 months. So we understand that a lot of people are on fixed incomes, especially now,
Sure.
and that they have set aside each month what their electricity bill is going to be. So we don't want to put them out anyway either. We just need to,
But the
get
people
it
on a
out there.
fixed income had to use that money that for
Correct.
some other, for food or whatever. So, good. You explained it extremely well, and I see Ed shaking his head back there, giving the thumbs up. Do you have anything you want to add to that, sir? Good. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Harding.
Dirt and I were up here, we had our lights on. And we appreciate the fact that, in the parish, Mr. Lawson and Candace, I think that's a wonderful thing that we can actually present for the citizens of Terrebonne Parish. I think we've been through enough already, and I totally agree with that. So thank y'all for doing that.
Make a motion to go to public hearing?
Motion to go to public, Mr. John Amity, seconded by Mr. Danny Babbitt. All in favor, say aye. Let's move on to public hearings, which was scheduled for 6:30. An ordinance declaring 5 vehicles for the Houma Police Department as surplus and authorizing said items to be disposed of by any legally approved methods. Public once. Public twice. Third time public on this issue. Motion to close, Mr. Danny Babbitt, seconded Mr. John Amity. All in favor, say aye. Motion to adopt, Mr. Dirk Gidry. Second, Mr. John Amity. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Ordinance is adopted. Ordinance B is an ordinance to amend the 2021 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Terrebonne Levy and Conservation District, $1 million. Public once. Public twice. Third time public. Motion to close, Mr. Steve Trosclair, second, Mr. Dirk Gidry. All in favor, say aye. Motion to adopt, Mr. Dirk Gidry, seconded by Mr. Steve Trosclair. Discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Danny Babin?
I just want everybody in the public to know Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government is not giving the levy board $1 million. This comes from taxes that are collected. This Candace said it 2 weeks ago. This is their money that we collect. We're just giving it to them. So it's not Terrebonne Parish giving the levy board $1 million. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Yes, this is the levy board's tax that we collect. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Ordinance passes. Item C, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 9300, which is to be codified as section 11-36 of the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances in order to define protocol during an emergency declaration. Public once. Public twice. Third time public. Motion closed, Mr. John Amity, seconded Mr. Carl Harding. All in favor, say aye. Motion to adopt, Mr. John Amity, seconded Mr. Carl Harding. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Ordinance is adopted. Item D, an ordinance to authorize Parish President Gordon E. Dove to accept and execute on behalf of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government as grantee a servitude agreement to provide a levy for the Holy Family Cemetery in Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Public once. Public twice. Third time public. Motion to close, Mr. Danny Babbitt, seconded Mr. Dirk Gidry. All in favor, say aye. Motion to adopt, Mr. Danny Babbitt, seconded Mr. Dirk Gidry. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, ordinance passes. Motion to go back in regular order, Mr. John Amity, seconded Mr. Carl Harding. All in favor, say aye. We are back in regular order. Item C, under number 1, consider a co-sponsorship request from the Junior Auxiliary of Homa's Turkey Two-Step in downtown Houma on Sunday, November 14th, 2021, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Move Miss Jessica Domingue, seconded Mr. John Amity. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Item D, resolution authorizing the execution of change order number 1 to the agreement for the contracting services with United Maintenance Specialists Incorporated for the Circuit Breaker Changeout Project number 19-ELT-05. Move Mr. Danny Babin, seconded by Mr. Carl Harding. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Resolution is adopted. Item E, resolution authorizing the Department of Utilities to purchase and install surveillance cameras at the Houma Generation Station, replacing those cameras that were damaged during Hurricane Ida. Move Mr. Danny Babin. Second, Mr. John Amity. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes. Item F, resolution authorizing Parish President Gordon E. Dove to sign Amendment Number 2 to the agreement with C.H. Fenstermaker, there we go, and Associates, LLC, for engineering services related to the L.A. Safe Living Mitigation Terraces project north of Lake Boudreaux. Move Mr. Dirk Gidry, second Mr. Carl Harding. Discussion, Mr. Danny Babbitt.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with this project. Mr. Dove, I have some pictures I would like to show you of an opening of where we don't have a levee on the northern part of Lake Boudreaux on the Grand Kai side. I have some recent pictures that I think may be of interest to you. So while I just wanted to do it because this is the same area.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes. Item G, resolution authorizing Amendment Number 1 to the agreement with GIS Coastal Design and Engineering for the Ashland Landfill Road Extension. Moved by Mr. Steve Trosclair, seconded Mr. Danny Babbitt. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes. Item H, resolution authorizing the execution of change order number 1 to the construction agreement for parish project number 20-SW-28, Ashland Landfill Road Extension Project, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Move Mr. Danny Babbitt, and seconded Mr. Steve Trosclair. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes. Item I, resolution authorizing Parish President Gordon E. Dove to execute a Cities Readiness Initiative, CRI, grant for the Terrebonne Parish Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness 48-hour mass antibiotic dispensing plan. Move Mr. Dirk Gidry. Seconded Mr. Danny Babbitt. Ms. Jessica Domingue.
Yeah, Mr. Hughes, can you explain what a 48-hour mass antibiotic dispensing plan is?
Earl Hughes, Director, Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness. That is a yearly grant we get from the Louisiana Department of Health in order to do bioterrorism planning in the event that we have a bioterrorism event, which a smallpox event or an anthrax type event, that we can go door to door and distribute antibiotics to people. Because if they don't get the antibiotics, then there's a possibility that they could die. So we plan for that on a yearly basis. It all came out of the 9/11 incidents. And so we do planning and exercising with that, and they give us the grant money in order to do the planning and exercise. It has nothing to do with the COVID vaccine.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with a mass vaccine effort or anything like that?
That is correct. It has nothing to do with a mass vaccine for COVID.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for
Okay.
clarifying that.
All right.
Mr. Harding.
Yeah. And
I'll take whatever they give me.
Any
Thank
more
y'all.
discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes. Item J, introduce an ordinance to amend 2021 adopted operating budget and budgeted positions of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Animal shelter donations, $2,500. Animal shelter donations, $25,000. General fund publicity, $26,595. Homa Fire Department, $1,069. City Marshal, $5,000. Homa Police Department, $0, but delete Administrative Coordinator 2, grade 106, and add Administrative Assistant, grade 107. Move Mr. Danny Babin. I'm calling a public hearing on said matters on Wednesday, November 10th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Mr. Danny Babin, seconded by Mr. Steve Trosclair. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ordinance is introduced. Thank you, Steve. Item K, presentation of the proposed 2022 parish budget and 5-year capital outlay budget by the parish president. Here budget message.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, public. I respectfully submit our proposal for the 2022 Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government financial budget for your review. The financial budget totals $239.1 million and contains $21.6 million in operating capital and 5-year capital outlay. For comparison, the original 2021 adopted budget totaled $209.4 million with $12.5 million in operating capital and capital outlay. During 2021, we have continued to face unprecedented times with the COVID-19 pandemic. The parish also faced with a disaster in Hurricane Ida, which was a Cat 4 and maybe Cat 5 on August 29, 2020. With the aftermath of Hurricane Ida, the administration is actively pursuing various funds sources to assist in the recovery process. The resiliency and tenacity of our employees and citizens will prevail, and we will continue to recover and accomplish the great things for the citizens of Terrebonne Parish. Sales tax collections and state mineral royalties make up a large portion of our recurring operational revenue. Our state mineral royalties saw a significant decrease in 2020, but the collections have remained steady for 2021. In 2021, we started to see a significant increase in sales tax collections, about 12.32 for the collection to date. I believe the employees of the parish are our greatest asset, and they should be rewarded for their hard work and dedication. Therefore, I am proposing a 4% cost of living compensation increase for all Terrebonne Parish consolidated government employees under the direction of the parish president. During 2021, we were able to add additional funding to the existing project. CDBG for East Side Police Substation, Bayou Terrebonne clearing, snagging, and dredging, West Side area drainage, Bayou La Corp, which is Leveron, Columbus, Tunnel Boulevard, Bayou Black Pump Station on a grant, Bayou Terrebonne Pump Station, Elliott Jones Pump Station, which is under construction, $14 million, 1,000 CFS pump station, 1B retention pond, 40 acres in Gray, which the field will be used to build the levees around the 118 system. Lower Montague drainage, the Lower Montague drainage, Bayou Country Sports Park, Village East Community Center, Homer Heights Fitness Center, Air Base Adaptive Park, Highway 56. For 2022, we are proposing the following: government buildings, $4.8 million; drainage, $1.5 million; recreation, quality of life, $1.3 million; additional road overlay besides what we have already, project, $1.0 million; bridge improvement, $750,000; public safety, $100,000; economic development, $480,000; utility system, $6.6 million; sewage system, $2.7 million. I am pleased to submit this balanced budget. This could not have been accomplished without the support of each department. We continue to be vigilant in our spending, practice, monitor economic indicators, and take decisive actions when warranted. Because of the practices, we are able to accomplish some great things and provide great services. In closing, I would like to thank the Terrebonne Parish Council, my administration, and the employees of the parish government for their focus and dedication towards achieving our goals. I would like to thank the residents of our community. It is an honor and pleasure to serve you as parish president. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dove. Consider the introduction of the proposed budget, ordering the publication of a summary of same as per Section 5-02 of the Home Rule Charter, referring the proposed budget to the Budget and Finance Committee for a review, and calling a public hearing on Wednesday, November 10th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dirk Gidry, seconded Mr. John Amity. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item L was supposed to say emergency ordinance.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend item L's language to include the word emergency between and the word ordinance, making it say, consider the introduction of an emergency ordinance.
And the title to say emergency ordinance?
And the title, I'm sorry.
We have a motion to amend the agenda. Do we have a second? Seconded, Mr. Steve Trosclair. Do we have any public that would like to discuss whether or not we should amend the agenda? All in favor of amending the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is amended. Emergency ordinance. Consider the introduction of an emergency ordinance to authorize the relocation of the Terrebonne Parish precinct polling locations due to an emergency arising from Hurricane Ida for the election of Saturday, November 13th, 2021, and the election of Saturday, December 11th, 2021.
Move.
Moved Mr. Danny Babin, seconded Mr. John Amity. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? The emergency ordinance has been passed. Item M, appointment of Corey Henry as the Houma Fire Department Fire Chief. We have to hold this for 2 weeks. Do we have a motion? So you have a motion to hold it for 2 weeks? Okay, moved by Mr. Dirk Gidry. A call for unanimous second, Mr. Danny Babin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been approved with a unanimous second. Mr. Henry, would you like to say something?
Corey Henry, 501 Kevin H. Drive in Houma. Been employed with the Houma Fire Department for 21 years, currently serving at the rank of captain. I consider it an honor to be here and in this position. I look forward to working with you all in the future.
Thank you very much. Oh, Mr. Trosclair.
Corey, I think you're kind of remiss in saying you were with the Houma Fire Department for 20 years. You were with the Houma Fire Department for 22 years, but I've been doing these things for you since baby. I mean, when you were born, and you've been with the fire department since you opened up the wall. Not necessarily the Houma Fire Department, but you've been with the fire department long time. You've been able to speak. So congratulations, welcome. Hope everything works out for you. I know it will. And you got all the support that you need. Feel free to call any one of us. We'll definitely work with you.
Appreciate it.
And I know I'm getting old when I'm friends with the parents of some of our appointments, but your grandpa's a great guy. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, next item on the agenda is public wishing to address the council. We have Mr. Paul Laperouse. If you don't mind, just state your name again, Mr. Paul, and your address.
Why is the courthouse still closed?
And I think we didn't know you were going to ask that question. Otherwise, we would have had our building.
I'm sorry?
We didn't know you would be here asking that question because it's not on our agenda. Otherwise, we would have had our building guy here who would know the problems that exist as a result of Hurricane Ida.
Well, all right. There are reasons for my asking the question, and they should be obvious to you. So if you cannot answer the question now, when and how will you be able to answer it? I'm asking.
Well, listen,
all right.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. Laperouse. This in the public, you can address your concerns to the council. That's what we're here for. But if you want to have a discussion about an issue, then you have to speak to your council person to see about putting it on the agenda. And then we can have the parties that can answer those questions there.
All right. So anybody
Again, this we can't. But
this from Hurricane Ida?
We can't discuss something that's not on our agenda. You heard us just now. Had to modify our agenda, and you're welcome to give your message. If you're concerned about that, please tell us your
Okay,
concerns.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
I'm concerned about the courthouse yet being closed. There's no perceptible damage other than what's being caused by people ripping sheetrock out. Nobody in the courthouse knows why. None of the people who work there, the judges, can't tell me anything about what is being done. What are the damages? Why are the courthouses, both of them, still shut down? Can you understand what you're doing to people's lives by keeping the courthouse closed? All right. So please give me a response. What happens next? How do we find out about this? Who's accountable? Jules? Okay, he's back there somewhere.
No,
All right.
No.
All right. Darren, please tell me what to do next. What should I do next to get an answer?
If you have your concern, call your council person and ask them to
Okay,
find
who
out
is
the
that?
question.
All right, Steve? Okay, man. I want to find out why the courthouses are still shut down.
Okay.
I'm sorry? Okay, I'm hard of hearing now.
He said it will be on the agenda in 2
Could we
weeks.
talk tomorrow, maybe by phone?
Yeah, you can call me tomorrow, and I'll put you on the agenda in 2 weeks at our next meeting, if you want to discuss it.
And I apologize, Mr. Laperouse, if I had known that's why you were here to answer a question, I wouldn't have had you sit through the meeting, but I apologize for that.
All right.
But we'll
All
get
right,
you an
Steve,
answer
we'll
in
talk
2
tomorrow.
weeks.
All right, man. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Laperouse. Where are we? 3A? All right. Notice of meetings. Approve attendance at the Police Jury Association of Louisiana Regions 1 and 2 meeting in Chalmette, Louisiana on November 8th, 2021. Moved by Mr. Carl Harding, seconded by Ms. Jessica Domingue. All in favor say aye. Any approved? Any opposed? 4, vacancies to various boards, committees, and commissions. We have the Veterans Memorial District will have 1 expiring term due to resignation and 1 expiring term on September 17th, 2021, representing the Vietnam Veterans of America. We'll have a Recreation District number 3A, 1 expiring term and 1 unexpired term due to a resignation. Recreation District number 6 will have 1 expiring term. Recreation District number 7 will have 1 expiring term on October 24th, 2021. The Bayou Blue Fire Protection District will have 1 expiring term. Terrebonne Parish Tree Board will have 1 vacancy due to a resignation. TITA will have 2 expiring terms on September 9th, 2021, 1 representing each of the following: Terrebonne Parish Council and Homa Terrebonne Chamber of Commerce. Coastal Zone Management and Restoration will have 3 expiring terms on October 31st, 2021, 1 representing the public, 1 representing recreational fishing, and 1 representing property owners. The Homa Area Convention and Visitors Bureau will have 3 expiring terms on December 31st, 2021, 2 representing civic nonprofit organizations and 1 representing the Homa Terrebonne Regional Military Museum. The Planning Commission will have 1 expiring term on November 1st, 2021. The Downtown Development Corporation will have 3 expiring terms on November 1st, 2021, 1 representing each of the following: 2 representing the Terrebonne Parish Council, 1 representing the Chamber of Commerce. And the Municipal Civil Service Board will have 2 expiring terms on November 29th, 2021. Any council announcements? Mr. Babin.
Yeah, we heard tonight from Mr. Dove his displeasure with the company that's operating these, supposedly operating these trailers. You learned tonight, as we did, it's out of our control. It's in the state and FEMA's control. So I urge everyone here, everyone listening or reading it in the newspaper, or watching it on HTV, call your state representative, call your state senators, call the U.S. congressmen and senators from this area, and voice your displeasure with this system that is a debacle. Nothing. When you have 200 trailers sitting there and only 8 have gone out in 3 weeks, there's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. So please contact everybody you can and voice your displeasure. Thank you.
Ms. Domingue.
Yeah, I'd like to announce that Saturday, November 6th from 12 to 10 p.m., there's going to be a Bayou Terrebonne tailgate at the Bayou Terrebonne Distillery. It's put on by the Hatch Grant Association, and all the proceeds for this event is going to go to Ida Recovery, and this group has done a lot to kind of give back to our area. And so if you want to have a little bit of fun, come out on Saturday, November 6th. Thank you.
Dirk Gidry.
Yeah, just a quick reminder, Sunday nights trick or treat, so be careful when you're on the highways with our young adults. Thank you.
And one announcement I want to make. Councilman Danny Babin and I did a tour today of the government towers in our council chambers, and it appears as though the council chambers will not be available for the remainder of 2021. It seems the main issue is debris coming off of some of the buildings, I guess, damaged our roof. As it hit our roof, it made chunks in it, which caused it to leak. They had put some temporary repairs, and we'll know today whether it's still leaking or not. They're not quite sure whether it has stopped. But the bigger problem is they have to take the ceiling text is out and the sheetrock is down. The fire marshal will not allow us to operate the building with the Celotex out, because that's where the return air goes to the air condition, and for fire purposes, it sucks the smoke out. So they would have to put the ceiling tiles back in, and they'd have to put the sheetrock back in for a temporary roof that might leak again and would have to be then torn out again. So until the permanent roof is in, it makes no sense for them to do that. I imagine it's probably the same thing with the courthouse, but we don't know that. However, we're not going to be able to occupy the second floor for the remainder of this year. Perhaps not. We'll see how quick it is for us to get the permanent roof. But that is the holdup. So I also wanted to thank School Board President Greg Harding, the council, and Superintendent Philip Martin for allowing us to use this. They have agreed to allow us to use it for the remainder of this year. So I want to thank them. Mr. Babin?
Also in the meeting, and the council people will get an email on this. We will start next month in November, having our Monday and Wednesday meeting. There'll be 2 in November, 2 in December because of the budget process. So we will be meeting here on Mondays and the Wednesdays of our council week. Thank you.
Correct. So the Monday in November will be dedicated purely to budget hearings. Then we'll have a regular meeting Wednesday, and then the 2 weeks later or a week later because of Thanksgiving, we'll start our committee meetings, and then we'll be back on track. So thank you very much. Motion to adjourn to Mr. Danny Babin, second to Mr. John Amity. All in favor say aye. We are adjourned. Thanks, guys.